Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Satsangat Astrology here. I am back with another report for the full moon in Aquarius this time. It will happen August 3rd, that is Monday. And I will share my screen with you to show you what I prepared. On Monday, August the 3rd, 2020 at 10:58 a.m. if you are here in the Central Time zone. Otherwise is 4:01 or p.m. in UTC, Greenwich time. If you like my videos, remember to subscribe to my channel, please. You can hit the bell to be notified of my new videos, usually once a week, now on Friday or Saturday, depending on the time that I have available to make them. And if you're interested in the astrology every day, I have dailies on Instagram, on Tumblr, MeWe, and I also write a blog. I will show you later. I have a yoga YouTube channel where I publish one class a week approximately by donation. And you have here the contact to donate if you are so inclined to do that. This full moon is ruled by Uranus, Lord of the heaven, but also it is also ruled by Saturn, and we will see next what happens with this full moon at 11 degrees 45 minutes of Aquarius. So this is the full moon of the liberation, or the unexpected, eccentric, even rebellion, right? And maybe uprisings. Who knows what is going to bring? But as part of the moon cycle that started at the end of the last degrees of Cancer, if you remember, on July 20th, the cycle of the moon started, and this will be the completion or the culmination of that energy. So it's not directly opposing as sometimes is, but it is in another sign that doesn't have anything in common with Cancer, right? Because Cancer is when the moon starts the cycle in Cancer, it starts a cycle about herself, right? And it's emotional, it's a water sign, so it has to do with the psyche, it has to do also with the masses. And we will see that in common, obviously, because there's the moon, and Aquarius is a sign of air. So it is intellectual, it is scientific, it is innovative, it is out of the blue and out of the norm. And the moon in Aquarius refers to a moon that is correlates with the collective, and it's people as part of a network of it's a network of humanity. So this moon really represents the masses and the people, the normal people, the common people of the world. So Uranus is square this full moon, and it is very similar to the moon cycle that started in January 24th, 2020. So this will be the full moon that will culminate the cycle that started in January with a new moon, and that time it was at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And I will change the share, so I'm going to show you the report that I wrote for that Aquarius new moon. I said shocking Friday, right? With a Tower card. And it was with Uranus also in Taurus, squaring the new moon at 4 degrees 22. The sun and the moon were at 422 of Aquarius. And Uranus was at 2 degrees, let me see here, the chart. Uranus was at 2 degrees of Taurus, 44 minutes. So the sun, probably a couple of days earlier, had squared Uranus, and the moon about 4 hours before or so squared Uranus. So, but they were both technically still in the square with Uranus at that time. So I invite you to go back and read the interpretation of this new moon that started the cycle that is culminating right now. Because things that started there are hitting the hottest point. You know, it's like the balloon that started from the earth going up and up and up, and now the balloon has hit the top and the maximum height that it could have reached. And it has to do, as I said, with liberation, rebellion, with a shock, with something that is probably related to the economy, or something also that could relate, because of Taurus, is resources, is values, stock market, it could be, or a natural disaster, right? It could be something that is related to weather, that may happen in the world, especially something in the earth, not so much in the water, because we don't have that much water in this chart. We have Uranus, which is the Lord of the heavens, but there's also the sky, the meteorology. It's also wind, and waves. It correlates to waves and vibration. So it could be like vibration of the earth, Taurus, that can make an earthquake or something that has to do with an earth shake, right? Because Taurus, the earth, and Uranus is the shake. So the also the resources can be shaken in some way, especially food. I heard that the food chain has been disrupted because of the pandemic, and so there could be news about things related to food supply as well that could be interrupted very sharply. So we have the moon at 11 degrees 45, it's same as the degree of the sun, but it is interesting that it is conjunct the planetary south node of Neptune, which is around 10 degrees of Aquarius. This with another factors in the full moon tells me that whatever is destabilized with this full moon, it will be dissolved. It will be dissolved, exactly, and it has to do with the karma of Neptune cycle, because the planetary nodes relate to the planet's karma, right? The history. And Neptune is related, as I said before, with the masses, with the universe as well. So it could relate to some news about the cosmos as well. But another factor is that there is a traditional ruler of Aquarius, which is Saturn. And Saturn is in the house previous to Aquarius. So the house that is previous is the 12th house for that moon location. And the 12th house is also associated with the energy of Pisces and Neptune, which also shows that whatever this full moon is bringing by shock will be dissolved or will be dissipated in some way. So it will not last for a long time. Usually Uranus as well has a sharp, like thunderbolt event, electrical shock, and then it dissipates. So this is the flavor of this full moon. Whatever happens, it will not persevere, or it won't be long lasting because of this position and what I just explained. What else? It is T-square, you know, the sun, the moon, and Uranus in fixed signs. So fixed signs don't like change. And usually if there is a change that is coming, it lasts. But in this case, I'm not sure, because there are several signs that indicate that it's something that is sudden and it will go away. So it won't be lasting. It's just an event, probably. So another thing is that the sun is not only let me see, yeah, the sun is not only square Uranus, but it's also semi-square Venus. There are 45 degrees between Venus and the sun, and that is also, and Venus rules Taurus, which is the ruler of Uranus. So this is also an aspect of tension, and it again, it is also talking about values. And in this case, Venus in Gemini talks about social values and yeah, relationship values, and it may talk about some the way people trust or not the social values that are implemented at this point. So there is this tension against those social interactions, and also there is a tension against the value of information that is broadcast. So people are very reluctant sometimes to believe things that are being said, especially in the news or whatever information. It could even be scientific information because of the Uranus involvement, right? Scientific information or social information that may be misleading. We just had Venus in square with Neptune. It's separating now, but still, whatever is already there in the cloud, we know that we can't really trust everything that we hear or everything we are told. So in regards to the health, Aquarius rules the circulation system, the skin, and any system that doesn't have a center, like the nervous system. And it could be anxiety. You may feel kind of electrical in your body and have this uneasiness or instability in your health or your moods, right? This moon is not a stable moon. It is kind of very nervous moon. It could be a lot of anxiety. So also Uranus in Taurus may be discomfort in the throat, right? And the square from Uranus to the Sun may give, and to the Moon in Aquarius may give problems with the heart or the circulation, like circulation, for example, in any part of the body, really. But since Aquarius rules the shins, it would be the lower part of the legs. Okay. Let's see. What the symbols are of the moon and Uranus. So the moon rules women, mothers specifically, and there could be in emotions and the emotional states or the moods, family, home, security. It also, the moon also is associated or correlates with the stomach. So there could be some instability in those areas. There is, Uranus is associated with unpredictable changes, erratic energy, and also there may be disapproval of authorities. The Sun rules authorities. There could be separation from authorities, temporary, as I said. It doesn't last long. Uranus is sudden and it goes away. It could also represent a sudden, even shock or death. So it's a disruption. These are problems that disrupt the home routines, domestic or the house environment, the family members, as I said, mothers or women in general. So at home, if you live in an old home or that has electrical problems, make sure that you solve those problems because there could be electrical short circuits. And in general, there is this unstable energy that is sudden, unexpected, disruptive. And with the, I'm going to explain if this moon affects each of the planets. So hang on there. By the end, I will explain that if this full moon touches any of your planets. In the positive, because there's always a positive, right? If you are a person that really accepts things that are not norm or regular or accepted by everybody, you know, the consensus, if you are open to changes, then there could be an enhancement of clairvoyance and increase in intuition, and also the understanding, right? The intellectual understanding of what's happening in society, what's happening in general, in the collective. Because the moon, as I said, here is shining the light on the collective. So also Uranus could be events in the world, for example. There could be traumatic, like financial upheavals, you know, and shakes, economic earthquakes, you know, that affect the family life and the authorities also. So for the square to the sun, Uranus in square with the sun, you know, the circulation problems in the body can bring irregular heartbeat. But as I said, it could also bring anxiety, very high level of nervousness, and another level or aspect of life, it could be this need to be free, this need to liberate yourself from something that is oppressing and that you can't take it anymore. And it could show you the weird and quirk aspects of your personality, or who you really are, because Uranus has this ability to awaken you to who you really are. So you may have the need now to separate yourself from certain people, from it could be family members, but also separate from situations and circumstances, and also separate from ideas, a certain ideology that you may have, even political parties or alliance that you may have with groups of people for certain causes. Now you may want to break free from any groups or friends, right? Uranus also is in Aquarius, is also associated with your friends at the larger scale. So there is inconsistency. There is this need to free yourself, to feel that you can express your creativity, that you can show your individuality. And sometimes it comes with a lack of taking responsibility, right? A denial of responsibilities. And it could be kind of egotistic if it's taken to the maximum, and it will give you certainly some erratic behavior, right? And if you have children, your children may be rowdy now. And if you're not the rebellious person, then you may receive, because the full moon always shows in relationships, you may receive this rebellion or this need for freedom from a relationship. It could be your partner, it could be your business associate, it could be anyone who is has a relationship with you. So there is this awkward energy that is really affecting your stable emotional state of being. So as I said, in the world, there could be out of control forces that it could be the weather, or in the economy, windstorms, and even Uranus is associated with flights with planes, airplanes, and air travel. And there could be some issue with airplanes or the companies, right? The airplane companies that become traumatic for people, right? The full moon. Those problems with airplane companies can be in detriment for the people in general, the population of the world, like not being able to fly a long distance anymore, or for a long period, right? Other things that can come are sudden things that have not been planned, related to women's health, especially mental health, because as I said, this is a moon in an air sign that is associated with the mind. And there could be changes that are forced from outside events. So if that happen from outside events, it's better to surrender, because that means that you were not recognizing your own rebellions inside of yourself, and then the outside circumstances force you to face those needs for liberation from inside, and this need for expansion and discover new things about yourself. So those, in the end, those shocks that come from outside will help you in your individuation, your personal evolution, your in the process of maturation. Remember that Aquarius is also ruled traditionally by Saturn. So this moon also is demanding some level of maturity, of evolution, and also if there is enough purity in your motives, then you can really receive this insight into your future, into who you think you are, and reach a higher level of consciousness, right? So in any case, it will be an influence that is not staying, but the effect will stay in you. So the results will be really an increase in your understanding and your level of consciousness and awareness. At the same time, we have Mercury in Cancer here, in opposition, direct opposition to Saturn specifically, but also the other energies in Capricorn, Pluto and Jupiter. But specifically for Saturn, it can bring to your mind worrisome thoughts, negative thinking, worrying a lot about things, especially worrying about your family, because Mercury is still in Cancer. So the worries will be about women, mother, in family, home, your house. Some people are wondering, how am I going to pay the rent or mortgage? Or other people think how I am going to protect the health of my family. Let me tell you that I will also share this chart, so I can show you the here I can show you this asteroid called Vesta here, that is conjunct Mercury. Let me see, is this the full moon? Not yet. Okay, this is not the chart. This is today's chart. Let me find the other chart. I think it's this one. Nope. Let's see. I have the interference of, okay, here is the chart. I am sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing. Okay, so here is the chart of the full moon in Aquarius in the natural zodiac that starts with Aries. And I will show you for different rising signs. But what I wanted to point out is here, Mercury is conjunct Vesta, the asteroid that it is of the goddess of Vesta, was the goddess that took care of the hearth in the Greek temples. So she was the one keeping the fire of the temple intact 24/7 all the time. So it's now associated with being invested or being consecrate or being really engaged in this case, in the protection of the home. And together with Mercury, so this shows very clearly that your mind will be invested in protecting your home, your family, your comfort zone, or your emotional well-being. So, and we see here also that Aries, the goddess of discord, is still in square with Pluto at 23:18. 24 is just a few minutes away from each other. So there is still this tension from the individual rebellion against the power that be, those powers that are holding the resources and all the riches of the world for themselves, right? This is the elite. So, and Saturn here is really giving our minds this negative outlook. And you could be critical, and it could be also restrictions of information. Mercury rules information. restriction, and in Cancer is about health also, and how to maintain health, and how to care for other people in order for them to be healthy. There could be restrictions regarding healthcare providers, and there could be delays in communication. There could be restrictions, limitations in anything business-like. Mercury rules business transactions, contracts. Not a very good time to make business contracts or sign leases, or especially because here Mercury is in Cancer, so signing a lease for your house or a mortgage, it's not a good time to do that. Really, Saturn is delaying and restricting and separating us from our good mental health, and separating or blocking us from receiving the information that we are looking for. So there is also the possibility of separation from your classmates now that schools are not in function, and there is a conversation about if students will be back to school or not. So there is this separation from your classmates, your playmates, your siblings, and people that you see every day in your environment. There is also the possibility that we may be blocked at home without the ability to even walk outside in the neighborhood. In some places where, you know, the pandemic is raging, governments and regulations are now preparing to limit people's displacements, people's movements in their neighborhoods. So there could be limitations and regulations about that. And it could also mean that you have a heavy work responsibility, or a heavy mind as well. There is this sense of liberation, but it's just probably a few moments of, as I said, of shock, and then it dissolves. So there is this also, the conjunction with the south node of planetary node of Neptune may also indicate that are things happening behind the scenes from time immemorial. You know, things that are coming back from we don't know where, what time in the history, and that they are now turning like hidden enemies for humanity. So especially things that involve lack of boundaries and propensity to illnesses, because Neptune, as you may know, is associated with the immune system, or the low immune system, and our human vulnerability. So this is a very, very, I would say, shocking and difficult full moon, but it will pass. Everything comes and goes. And let me, now I will try to here I will talk about the full moon for every sign very briefly, and all the planets. So for Aries, the full moon falls in the area of your life associated with friends, groups of people, your dreams, your goals for the future, and the money that you make from your employer. So it is a culmination on that regard, and the rebellion comes from the rebellion, or the liberation comes from the area of your income, your resources, your own money, your possessions, your values, and the things that you have in order to, the food also that you eat in order to maintain life. So, and the sun is, of course, in the 5th house. Let me tell you, if the moon, for example, conjunct your, let's see, your sun, it will be like a new moon for you. And it will be like a new start in some way, at the same time that it will be a culmination. And I will go through the signs and the planets at the same time, so bear with me. So for Taurus, if Taurus is your ascendant, then the full moon will be in the area of your public life, your career, your social standing, your public reputation, and your civic status. For example, it could be that you get married and you change your status in the public, and the rebellion will be from you, from yourself. You will be affected by Uranus, right? You will be the one rebelling and liberating yourself from something in your work, and from someone, or maybe a woman who is your boss. So, and let me see, if the moon is conjunct your moon, for example, that will be like a double dip, a full moon, and will affect your emotional life. Generally speaking, if your moon is affected, and it could be either conjunct, it will be opposing, or squaring if it falls in Taurus or Scorpio. So it will affect your emotional well-being and your comfort zone, your house maybe, and your family members probably. Okay, so let's continue to Gemini. If Gemini is your rising sign, then the moon will be in your 9th house. The full moon will be in your 9th house, which is education, higher level of education. It is associated with a higher level of knowledge, wisdom, religious beliefs, ideologies, but also cultural identities, and cultural information. It could be cultural knowledge, or any other cultures. And in general is the vision of the world, right? Is the Sagittarian natural house, so it rules your vision of the world. So that is the culmination on something related to those themes. And the rebellion will be for you in the unconscious, because it falls, Uranus falls in the 12th house, which is the area of your dreams, but the dreams that you dream while asleep. and not when you're dreaming awake. So this is coming from some past life karma, maybe a rebellion that comes from this psychology that you don't really have access to. And it could be literally a nightmare, a rebellion nightmare that you may have. And the sun is in the house of your mind, right? The third house, mind, communications, and neighborhoods, siblings, relationships, and so on. So if the full moon is touching by aspect, by square, conjunction, or opposition to Mercury, then your mind will be affected. And also with the planets, if the full moon affects any of your planets, you need to take a look at the house ruled by that planet, because the Mercury rules Gemini, and it rules Virgo. So if it is Mercury affected by this full moon, then the houses occupied by Gemini and Virgo will be affected. If the full moon affects your moon, then the Cancer sign house is the one affected, and so on. Now for Cancer, if your rising sign is Cancer, or to the lesser extent, if your sun is in Cancer, then the full moon is in the 8th house of deep psychological transformations. It is the house where the upheavals will be very deep and transformational. It is the house of joint resources with other people, taxes, inheritance, loans that you may take, mortgage, for example. So the culmination is in that area, and the rebellion comes from your groups of friends, groups of people where you belong, and also from the earnings that you have from your employer. And the 11th house is also the house of your dreams and the goals that you have for the future. So, and that is the rebellion for Cancer. Now, let us advance to Leo. And for Leo, it is, if you're a Leo rising or Leo sun, especially for Leo suns, happy birthday. And if the sun is conjunct your sun, it will be your solar return or solar revolution, when the sun comes to once a year, comes to the same degree, and may or may not coincide with your birthday. In this case, it is almost with my sun, which is in a couple of days I will have my birthday. And the full moon will happen in the relational house, the area of life where you relate to your partners, your associates, business partners, but as well any person with whom you have a one-on-one relationship. So there is a completion there. And the rebellion comes from the 10th house, which is, it could be your boss, it could be, or the liberation, it could be from liberation from the career that you have. You may completely decide to change your career. And you may, for example, have a liberation from the public status. You may free yourself from the certain public standing. It could also affect your reputation. So you need to be very careful about this rebellion, because it will be shown to the world. You will be in the public eye rebelling here. And the consequences will be changes in your relationships. And it could be, it could be positive rebellion. It doesn't mean that the chart and the planets don't show if it is positive or negative. It shows that it will happen one way or another, or in several ways. Those are the areas that will be affected for Leo rising or Leo sun. And I was in Mercury. So next planet that I will talk will be Venus. And if Venus is the planet that is aspected in your natal chart by this full moon, if you have it around 10 or 11 or even 12 degrees of the fixed signs, right? Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Then if Venus is affected, that will affect your values, relationships, finances. It will be affecting your social interactions also, and everything that you love, desire, and also artistic interests. So that will be if Venus is affected for Leo or for anybody. So Virgo, and here I will talk about Mars. If Mars is affected by this full moon, because you have Mars in any of the fixed signs, then it will be kind of aggressive for you. You may feel this burst of this shocking burst of energy. It could be a physical rebellion. It could be really affecting your drive, even your sexual drive, because Mars rules that. But it could also makes you physically aggressive. So be careful, don't hurt anybody. The full moon for Virgo then will happen in the 6th house, and the rebellion will be in the 9th house. So in the 6th house, the moon will affect your health, probably. It could suddenly give you something regarding your health that you didn't expect. It could be something in your workplace as well, or something related with your people that you hire, for example, to be of service to you. It could also be something sudden that happened to your pet. It could also disrupt your daily routines, your schedule, you know. And the rebellion or the liberation can come from your ideology, information that you may receive, all of a sudden changes your outlook, the vision of the world that you used to have, and you discover that, well, this completely changed your identity, you know, your subconscious identity. And then it also affects the area of that I mentioned before by the full moon. That's for Virgo. Now let's go to Libra. And for Libra, the full moon falls in the 5th house of your children, your joy, the things that you do to enjoy yourself. romantic life as well, lovers, and sexuality is also there in that house. So it will be a completion of something that may have started in January with a new moon there. And the liberation is in the psychological area. So you are liberated from some constraint, even sexual constraint, because see, Uranus in Taurus is very physical and is ruled by Venus, as I said, and it's about your sexual life. It is the house where you merge with someone else sexually. So there could be liberation in that regard. Or in your psychology, it could be also liberation from finances, joint finances, that now you say, that's enough, I am not sharing my finances with you anymore, and that's it. And that will affect your children or your lover, right? Now from Mars we go to Jupiter. If the full moon affects your Jupiter in your natal chart, then it could be lucky, it could be very expensive, in wherever you have Jupiter. As I said, the location, in this case, it would be in any fixed signs, if you have Jupiter in a fixed sign. And it also will affect those houses ruled by Jupiter, which are Sagittarius and Pisces. So see, this full moon could be expansive, or it could be a liberation by traveling abroad, a long distance, or learning something completely out of the norm, like astrology, for example. And you can enroll in a course with me to learn astrology. So that is for Jupiter. Let's go to Scorpio. And for Scorpio, if you have a Scorpio ascendant or rising, then the full moon falls in your 4th house, which is home. So the disruptions in the culmination of this energy could be related to home family, to family members, specifically a woman who is a mother. Also, it could be your mother, or someone, a woman who is just a mother, right? It could be also disruptions in your house. Make sure that you check for electrical problems. Be careful. And the house, as I said, the home, and also if it's not related to home, it could be upheavals in your emotional state of being. And the disruptions or the liberations come from a partner. In the 7th house, another person who relates to you in a one-on-one relationships. So, or a business associate, or anyone, it could be your partner, your spouse. So that disruption can affect your family life. Let's see, now if your natal Saturn is affected in your chart, because you have Saturn in a fixed sign, as I said, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, then this disruption or this full moon will really affect the structures of your life. And look at the structures in the house occupied and ruled by Saturn would be the Capricorn, Aquarius houses, plus the house where Saturn is located. right? If it is in Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, etc., or Aquarius. So the structures, it will also make you more worry. It will probably bring scarcity and limitations, separations, really concerned with rules, regulations, and probably an elderly person maybe the subject of the culmination of this full moon. It could be, for example, an elderly mother that may be affected in some way. Okay, so let's go to Sagittarius. If you're Sagittarius rising, for example, then the full moon falls in the third house of your mind, and the disruption will be from the sixth house of your daily routines, schedule. So you might worry, for example, in the third house it rules communication, it rules anything that you learn in the practical level. Is not the higher mind, it is the learning of skills, for example, the practical learning. So the disruption comes from your work. For example, you can be asked to learn new skills in your place of work, or you may need to learn something new. You may have learned something new with this full moon. It could be a discovery of something new about your health. For example, something that gives you healing and something out of the norm, right? This is not regular consensual medicine. You may find something that is really innovative that will help you with your health. Okay, next planet is, we're now going to the outer planets. If Uranus is aspected in your natal chart by this moon, it means that Uranus is in one of the fixed signs, which will make either a conjunction with the sun or the moon, or it will do a square with the sun or the moon, or it will be an opposition or conjunction with Uranus, the natal Uranus. And this is very, very, very disturbing, disrupting, and shaking. So your life may go through an earthquake. So something that is completely, you're veering the direction that you were going, and you're completely changing directions. So you need to tell me if something like that happens, because it will be very interesting. Okay, but in general, if the outer planets are affected in your natal chart, it usually comes from outside, from the world, or the external circumstances or events. Now, if you are Capricorn rising sign, then the full moon is in your second house, and this is the area of your possessions and the things that you, the money that you earn, your finances, your money, and your values also. It is also a house related to family traditions. So any of those, because values are usually based on family conditioned values, right? So The second house also rules the throat. So, and Uranus, and I mentioned that because Uranus is in Taurus, with Taurus rules the throat. So for Capricorn rising, there may be a disruption that affects your throat, or it could be a disruption regarding your children and the joy that you are enjoying something and something happens, or it could be disruption or liberation from a lover, or it could be also related to your sexual life, so that is affecting your finances. So now, if the full moon is aspecting Neptune, you have Neptune in one of the fixed signs. As I said, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius. Then the collective unconscious will be affecting you. And this is also, it could be a dissolution of something, something ruled by your natal Neptune, depending on the house where it is. And it's also affecting the houses occupied by Sagittarius and Pisces. And now for Aquarius. Okay, the full moon is in your house of health and your personality, your individuality. It is you. The full moon is something about you. It's a completion about who you are. And the disruption will come from your family, home life, anything. Again, be careful about any electrical problems at home, and you may do a completely new installation of your electrical system at home, or devices, you know, physical devices that had to do with electricity. So the disruption comes from something that happens at home, or with your family members. And also it could be an emotional disturbance that you have. Because the fourth house is also your emotional comfort zone, where you feel you're safe and you are okay there. So this disruption directly affects you personally. The last planet I will talk about is Pluto. And again, if Pluto is affected by square, conjunction, or opposition from this full moon, then very powerful transformations may happen in a second. It could be really powerful events that will completely probably erase something in your life and bring something entirely new. Pluto is associated with death and rebirth, or the transformation, for example, the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly. You know, it's leaving behind one form and transforming into something else very different. And it could be brought to you, to your life, by external circumstances. And so look at the house where Pluto is located, and it also the house that it rules, which is Scorpio. We have, and we have now the sign, rising sign of Pisces. So if Pisces is your rising sign, the full moon falls in the area of your life that is invisible. That is your unconscious. It is your dream life, your astral travel, you know, when you are sleeping, past life, past life events, or past life karma or traumas, because having Aquarius in your 12th house, it talks about a past life of trauma. So it could illuminate something about past life karma or traumas, and the disruption comes from your mind. Any communications, learning about some skills, or even a revelation from a sibling of yours, or classmates, or a liberation or a disruption brought about by any person, neighbor, for example, any person that is that you see every day, people that you relate in the regular basis. So, or information that you read in the newspaper every day or online, right? So the disruption can come from any communication or learning process, and it will really transform your, or shed light on that unconscious psychology that may come from a past life. And we're done with we're done with the analyzing the 12 signs and how the moon affects you and all the planets, right? So thank you for watching. If you feel this video is valuable to you, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you are notified when I publish, usually every Saturday. And follow me daily. Also, look at the beginning of the video for the links. I wish you the best, and hopefully the disruption or liberation is not too bad on you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of lucks. Bye-bye.